Hi, welcome back to Finally Revealed. In this episode, I want to talk about if you are sued and you do nothing and a default judgment is entered against you. I want you to consider 5 things in that circumstance to check out. There are other things to check out, but I think these 5 are the most important and the most immediate. First one is whether or not this was on purpose or there was some type of oversight. A default judgment is entered when you are served with legal process, and in the U.S. there are different ways for service to be made. Some courts require personal service, it's handed to the person. Some courts allow it to be posted and mailed if they have tried a couple of times and were unable to get service on the person. Some places it is certified mail or Federal Express, and that depends on whether it is state or federal court. And there's also residential service, which is leaving it with someone at the residence with a person who's over 18 years old. So if you received the papers and you knew about it, did not go on purpose, or did not get an answer on file either by yourself or through counsel on purpose, and you intentionally let this go, then you should be aware that a default judgment will be entered. So you should check after the time frame for the court appearance or the answer to have been filed as to what the default judgment entered was for. It should match what the papers were that you received, and if it doesn't, then you need to look at these other steps that I'm going to go through. So if you let it go on purpose because you think you're judgment proof, or you'll deal with them later, or it's not of any concern to you, you should at least check to see that the judgment entered does not exceed what they've prayed for in the papers that you got. So that's the first one. If it was not intentional and you were not served, and you find out that there is a default judgment against you, and you find out about a judgment because someone sends you a letter, or you are served with additional papers to come into court to answer questions about your property, or a garnishment is served on your wages or your bank account and you're notified, or you get a letter from an attorney or someone else saying, we have a judgment and now we want to be paid. So if you weren't served with anything and you are notified that there is a judgment against you, or if you were served and messed up on the dates or got the wrong date, or something on the papers that you received, you went into court and found out it was really a different date and there was a mistake, and you don't want the judgment to be entered, and you have some type of a legal defense, then you need to contact counsel to have the judgment set aside. And you should know that in each jurisdiction there are deadlines for this to be filed, and they run pretty quick. So you need to get all of the information together and go find counsel to represent you and get something on file quickly. And that leads me to the next thing, which is after a judgment is entered, some states it's immediate, some states there is a short waiting period, but after a judgment is entered, then the creditor or the plaintiff, doesn't need to be a creditor, it could be some other, it could be for money or it could be for some other reason. The plaintiff who now has a judgment can enforce the judgment, whatever it is. If it's something requiring you to do something, having you stop doing something, pay money, get property back, whatever it is, what the judgment is giving them, they now can enforce it. And so again, you need to be prepared if your check is going to be garnished, if your property is going to be taken away. If there's a foreclosure, then there might a judicial foreclosure, there's going to then be a sale. If there's whatever it is that they were suing for, they can now enforce. So you need to be aware of what they can and can't do. And then finally, if you own real property and you have a judgment against you, depending upon your state law and depending on the time frames and the type of court that the judgment was rendered in, you may or may not now have a lien on your real estate, meaning you won't be able to sell it until you deal with this lien. So some places it's automatic, in some places it's not automatic, and there will be an additional filing. And that additional filing may also be the way that you learn about a judgment. So if any of these situations happen to you and you have a valid defense and you have something to protect, and you didn't just let the judgment happen because you don't think that there's any consequence that will befall you, then you need to get counsel and go and have that judgment set aside. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to see our other videos. Share this with anyone who may need this information, or who may be searching or have questions about this. Leave any comments or questions below. Also, you can leave questions for me on the Facebook page. I'm going to go through those now and answer questions in other videos. And check on the playlists here if you have any other questions. All the videos are set out in playlists. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And check out our website. There will be new information coming very soon. We've got a few glitches, but we've redone the website. We're very excited, and we'll have new information and materials on there for you very soon. So, as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.